All right. My gosh. So I'm trying a new thing. I'm trying actually to set up my stream through Streamlabs, but apparently getting the stream to cooperate and actually transmit properly has been a challenge. So there you go. So recently, um, there's been kind of an observance of Twitter wars and a non sequitur sort recently that um, uh, was very inflammatory towards Emperor Atheist, because Emperor Atheist had some dumb, dumb freaking stuff. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but I wanted to talk about kind of the sliding scale of bigotry and threat assessment, because I think sometimes there's false equivocations being made, and I think that's important when you're engaging with people and being able to make a connection and to actually maybe persuade or change minds. So let me switch to my live sitting. See if that works. Sorry, I'm learning. I'm literally learning new software as I speak. So it's been kind of an interesting learning curve here. Oh my gosh, just do it. Okay, here we go. Got it. So, I guess the way I could start this off is to talk about general situation and then do a threat assessment comparison between two individuals as an example. So, let me get to the correct screen here. Sorry, I'm on the porch, so if you heard a motorcycle, that's what it was. Let's see here. How do I work this technology? All right. So recently there's these statements being made. The first one being, let's make it clear, I do not condone homosexuality. If you have an issue with that, you can unfriend me. I'm not here to advocate for your sexual views, ... Later in the thread, it goes through and he explains like, oh, well, I wouldn't bring my kid to gay pride. But during the thread, he thumbs up things that make a suggestion of LGBTQ is a slippery slope to NAMBLA-like behavior. And you can kind of watch the thread in the Twitter wars and see what he condones as opposed to what he doesn't condone. And it's a bit alarming. He doubles down when confronted. The LGBTQ community is not above scrutiny, criticism. You all are bigots yourselves for thinking it is. Purge time. And so he doesn't respond well to the criticism, and he's like, purge time. And then it turns into, now y'all, I give zero specs. I can't even cuss. Now y'all, like, you give zero fucks and will speak my mind. I don't answer to none of your emotional motherfuckers on no social media. If this fake ass friend list goes down, my bank account keeps going up. Now, that being said, all my real people fans know my stances. The rest of you can kick fucking rocks. I'm from the concrete jungle, bitches. Grew up as a black man in America. Yo, motherfuckers better not compare the LGBTQ community struggle with ours. I don't give a fuck how many gay friends I have. I draw the line there. Stop comparing that. It's not the same. Get some tough skin. No one has to agree with your lifestyle. Then be called homophobic. Ha ha, ha ha, you fools. I've been and seen so much worse than that. So hell no, I'm not sympathetic to any of these topics. No one is safe. Hashtag purge time. Um, uh, I've long kind of thought Emperor was an idiot, not just because of this, but just the way he approaches theology and theists and this all or nothing black and white thinking. Doesn't shock me that he would double down when pushed upon. Not shocking at all. Pretty terrible. On my scale of bigotry, I'm gonna put let's put some of the worst. I mean, obviously, people that want to kill people that are LGBTQ. Obviously would be way up on the scale of threat meter on the scale of bigotry. And people that are like, ew, it's icky, I don't like it, I would put them kind of on the bottom of the scale of bigotry. So where does Alex slash Emperor Atheist fall on my scale of bigotry? Well, I'm pretty sensitive about this stuff. I'm a liberal. I'm on the spectrum here. And my threat assessment of Emperor, as much as I love to dislike the dude because I don't typically like anti-theists, my threat assessment puts him at a 2 out of 10. Maybe a 3. Maybe a 2. I don't know. Eyebrow raising. Kind of, I don't like that. But he is not a 10. He's not a danger to anybody. In fact, if Emperor says I don't condone anybody's lifestyle, I mean, I don't condone being an anti-theist and a theological idiot, but here we are. It really doesn't matter, right? So when I saw this and read, my reaction wasn't to cry. My reaction was I'm not shocked given the impression that I've got. You're kind of a good old boy. And, it is what it is. But apparently people are shocked. And I found it kind of fascinating that people were surprised. And I have this theory that people think that bigotry only exists within religion. And it's only within the confines of religion that people would be bigoted or prejudiced. I don't think that's the case. I think bigotry is what is a social construct of what people think is the norm or what ought to be. And if something breaks that that construct that they have, they might actually be despising of it. So I think it's interesting that he's doubled down so much on it. But what also has been interesting is kind of watching the reactions here. And bear with me as I'm using new technology. And I'm going to try to play a clip for you. Stand by. As I'm going to trim this because I like things to look really pretty before I torture you guys with bad clips. Hang on. I had it all set up, but then I was struggling so much with my stream key nonsense that I did not. I lost it. It's not set up. So let me reset this up real quick. Super easy. All right, let's see here. Let me find my spot.
And what? And now Oscar is a member of that community. How can you respect their
Oh wait, we gotta work with this. Hang on.
existence.
Shut up. Okay, hang on. I don't want that. I want to cut it off right about where Godless Engineer is, and I'm gonna expand it so that we can see Kyle's frowny face, and I want to see
By saying
Shannon's tears real quick. Hang on. No Bible thumping wingnut. I don't want to watch you. Now I did it. Reset. Oh, it went completely it went completely green screens. That's great. Let me hit reset again. Refresh. All right, well, this is probably the best what we're going to do. So it's not completely cut. So let's go to where I was going. We're going to go past Kyle's rant, because Kyle, I think, is justified. I feel a lot of what Kyle's saying.
Jungle bitches grew up as a. It was like.
what that does to the people that listen to you. You matter. And
the reason why I'm showing Shannon Q is because first I find that her reaction is a little bit over the top, and I have a couple commentaries about the reaction there. And then also, I definitely have something to say about Godless Engineer's reaction.
And what you're doing matters. And what you're doing is hurting people. Why don't you care? Your response, saying your bank account goes up when your friends go down, to me, that's like saying it doesn't matter because I have a benefit, even though what I'm doing indicates harm and causes harm to people. You know people. You've indicated that your daughter is a member of that community. How can you? I can't wrap my head around it. It hurts me and it breaks my heart, and I don't understand. And I would really like you to come so that I can ask you what you were thinking.
A couple things here. I'm suspicious because I don't think any of them were really close to Emperor, because Emperor clearly had these views for a long time. So I'm kind of like raising my eyebrow, like, oh, like we're besties. How could you? It just seems strange to me. But so part of me wonders, like, my question is this betrayal partially because an anti-theist is talking to another anti-theist? Have you ever noticed anti-theist big gig is if they're a kinder anti-theist, they play on the empathy, and sometimes they're even humanists. And with anti-theism, they'll say like religion causes so much harm. And an example of religion causing harm might be some of the laws and bigotry that's befallen LGBT folks. And you know, it is oftentimes um, something that is driven by the ought not laws of what you ought to do for procreation and things like that. But what I think is interesting is that bigotry doesn't just know Christianity. Bigotry doesn't just know Islam. Bigotry does not just know Judaism. It's not just the monotheist religions that have this issue. It can be, oh my gosh, an atheist. An atheist can be bigoted. Oh my goodness, an atheist can be prejudiced. It is possible. Oh my goodness, isn't that shocking? So part of me thinks, like, is it possible that you are just so shocked and taken aback because you really thought that there's just no way an anti-theist, a fellow anti-theist, could be so bigoted, like, or so close-minded? It's just strange to me. It's odd to me that the shock and the anger. How could you? It's like, well, I mean, I don't think he's ever hidden it. Like, I've always kind of got that vibe. Um, so I just found the shock kind of strange. And it's like, oh, we're friends, but I mean, really, how tight are you friends? Friends with a capital F? Is this the capital F friends? I don't know.
Just just why? Like I'm trying not to cry. You're somebody that I've spoken to many times.
I speak to bigots all the time. Like, how is this shocking? I don't understand.
Emperor Atheist. You're somebody that I have had on my podcast. You're somebody
Is it because he's been on your podcast? Are you embarrassed that an anti-theist can be bigoted?
that I've gone in your chat rooms. You're somebody that I've promoted. And now I feel a little bit sullied because I
Uh,
am watching people.
We built this city. So again, you feel sullied and dirty because you promoted an anti-theist and didn't care that he had other beliefs that you might align with because, hey, anti-theism, what could go wrong? Like, I don't understand.
I love and people I care about, and even if they weren't people I love and I care, I'm watching people be affected by your words, and it doesn't seem like it matters. Please come here and
Purge time, motherfuckers.
tell me that it matters so that I can regain some semblance of respect for you, please.
and just to address something, and then
When somebody has a terrible idea, do we lose respect for everything or do we lose respect for that terrible idea? I'm just curious because, I mean, I don't agree with the anti-theist lifestyle myself. I don't condone it. But I might have a couple friends that are an anti-theist.
and then we'll go to GE in the chat. Psychopath Atheist said it's not the same. No, again, no one is comparing. Please get this. Please understand this. No one is comparing being gay with being black.
I have something to say about that, being gay and being black. So are some similarities between LGBTQ. I can never say. I'm not good at initials for anything. Um, and being black. Here is the few comparisons. One is people will judge you. Hang on, my dog's crying and it's driving me nuts. Stand by. All right, sorry about that. My dog was just crying. He's like, "Let me back in the house." I'm here out on the patio, and he's decided he wants to be with his dad. Totally lost my train of thought, so we're gonna discontinue.
That is not what's at issue here. And
Oh yeah, so psycho atheists. Holy cow! All the dogs in the neighborhood are just barking the head off. He mentions like don't compare the plight of gays with the plight of black people, but there are some similarities, and here's the similarities. In America, you can be killed for being gay. Matthew Shepard was beaten and tied to a fence because he was gay. In America, you can be judged at your job and lose your job because you are gay. You can be ostracized by your family because you are gay. You can be rejected in marriage because you are gay. Your neighbors can mistreat you because you are gay. There are different things that you can find some similarity with and say, yeah, they are experiencing some sort of social kickback and some sort of abuse. The difference, though, is that um, and again, I've even witnessed this with my black friends. They are treated differently from the get-go. So if you run into a bigoted potential employer, and you're at an interview, and as soon as they see that you're black, I mean, like, you can't hide that. Where you could potentially hide that you're gay. You know, a lot of people do. So there's no way of hiding that you're black. Like, and so that dude walking across the street, like, that's a black dude. And so if somebody's a bigot, whether it's a state trooper or a potential employer or anybody really that has some sort of power over you, they can just do it on site, and that is a different experience. And so because of that experience, I cringe at comparing the two completely. I would say that there are some experiences of persecution, yes, but is it to the same degree? It's different. It's just different. And so with that, I would just say tread carefully with the comparison, because I think that it gets you into a lot of trouble. How many prosperous towns were blown up because a citizen was gay? Good point. So far, San Francisco is still standing brick and mortar.
For somebody, the people who were saying let psychopath atheists join on, no, because it's not about that. I'm saying that he should understand the discrimination.
Did I talk to black folks before winging it, making these statements? Yeah, I talk to black folks all the time. What I'm saying is that in the only similarity is that there is some persecution in the LGBT community. It is not equal, it is not the same. But there is some. The difference is, again, whole communities being judged on site. That is really different.
The struggle that he's putting out there. I'm putting it in an irony, sort of hypocrisy context. No one's making this a black.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
You're muted, G.
You're okay.
So, in a moment, Godless Engineer's going to chime in, but he seems lost and confused. I don't even know if he read the statements.
Sorry.
So yeah, about the comparison to between the struggles of the black community and the struggles of the LGBT community, nobody is saying that they have the exact same life experiences here. Nobody is saying that the LGBT people have been treated exactly the same as the black community in the past. Nobody is making that comparison. And to echo what Shannon just said, is not a competition. One group doesn't have to be the supremely persecuted group in order for everybody to recognize how each group has been oppressed and persecuted and all those kind of things. Both communities have different life experiences that have shaped their past up until this point. And I think to marginalize either group in any kind of way is wrong. And I feel like that is what Emperor Atheist, like his post today, did. And I supremely disagree with marginalizing any group, any particular group struggle. And to act like, oh, well, the black community has suffered.
Waiting for him to get to the point where he says the comparison with Steven Anderson, and maybe it's further down the line.
Worry about hiding his blackness from his family, or have to worry about.
He doesn't have to worry about hiding his blackness from his family. Jesus. I really don't want to have to scrub through all of this.
It differently, but that's cool. Okay.
I'm sorry, you can't take the high road after the second post.
Do the Pride Parade locally because there's.
I'm looking for a particular statement.
I don't condone your lifestyle.
I don't condone anti-theist lifestyles.
any last minute? I think we've said pretty much everything that we need to. I don't want to make this a like I'll get a
support him or whatever. I just it was some
all
a lot of people who spoke out against
to not take an all.
I told a bunch of my
I have one black friend, which is useful when I'm accused of being racist. Yeah, right. Everybody has to have one black friend, one gay friend, one Middle Eastern friend. I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. So another criticism would be of Red here.
subscribers at the time to support Emperor Atheist, to subscribe to his show and whatnot and whatever. Basically, what I'm doing now is I'm telling all of my subs, and basically, if you follow me, if you are indeed a true member of Team Cunt, to go to his channel or his show's channel, whichever. I'm not going to link it. I'm not going to advertise it. But if you know what it is, great. Go there. See if you're subscribed. And if you are, ask yourself this question. Do I really want to stay subscribed to a guy that's this bigoted? Ask yourself that question. And not only that, but to the other people that are following him who aren't a member of Team Cunt, I ask you this question. Who you associate with actually says a lot about you. So ask yourself, do I want to...
Just want to point out that Red associates with some pretty eyebrow-raising folks.
be associated with someone who's actually this bigoted? So do I want to subscribe to a person that's this bigoted? Do I want to be associated with someone who...
As I said in the beginning of this stream, on the scale of bigotry, I put him in about a 2 out of a 10. Like, I don't think when you're saying, oh my gosh, do you want to subscribe to somebody this bigoted? Emperor Atheist is so low on my risk assessment of bigotry that, like, I just think it's silly to be, like, calling for essentially a deplatforming over somebody for saying, I don't condone your lifestyle. It just seems like it's kind of overboard and ridiculous. And I really wish I had the clip with Godless Engineer comparing him to Steven Anderson, because he does, and I can't remember where it is in this video, but I raised my eyebrow at that and I said, Emperor is nowhere near Steven Anderson. Steven Anderson is like a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. So on a sliding scale of bigotry, Steven Anderson wants the government to murder gay people because Leviticus. And it's dirty and nasty and icky. So where you put people on the sliding scale kind of matters. Like, I put Matt Powell really high on the sliding scale. I put Steven Anderson really high in the sliding scale of the threat assessment of their actual beliefs and what they actually want done with gay folks. I put Emperor like at a 1 or a 2. Like, he is low. I put Matt Slick at like a 3. Like there is a sliding scale of bigotry. There is a threat assessment that you have to make. And I think it's really strange that the threat assessment is so over the top. And the only thing I can think of why the threat is so over the top, in my mind, maybe I'm wrong, it could be that he's an anti-theist and he's not towing the line. Because how could an anti-theist be bigoted? Shocking. But I don't know. It's just really odd to me. Yeah, as far as it being a, what do they call it? When a libertarian kind of does a Crimea River, what do they call it? Persecution wars. Who's more persecuted? Sure, I'll say black people are more persecuted, largely, and it looks a little bit different. But as far as there being some small similarities, yeah, there are some similarities. So what people are saying is, like, maybe there should be some empathy just based on those small similarities. But there is another part I wanted to show you. We are going to change. Oh, come on. I'm going to change Windows real quick. Oh, screw it. We're just going to see it typing in. No, don't play. All right. Ah. Ba 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 bum. Oh, I broke it. It may not be loading. I'm gonna check out live chat and see who's yelling at me right now. See the upstairs lounge arson. How do you get on Team Con? It sounds cool. I'm not sure. You're gonna have to contact the top dogs on that. Oh, come on. Dun, 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 dun. No, that's not what I wanted. I'm professional. This is the first time I've ever done this like this. Oh. Oh, maybe it won't load. Maybe it's gone. That's weird. I don't care. There it is. I think I have to let it load. And then I can move it, I think.
This morning, and have you ever heard of
inferred that a lot of his he didn't care if he was going to purge people. He actually, I'm not going to.
as long as you stay, as long as you remember this, like never lose for religion.
Pick your battles, man.
Yeah, sometimes that's the case.
Pick your battles. I mean, it's not worth it. You know, I have family members in the same position, right? I mean, I told the story when my cousin had cancer. You know, she's all praising Jesus that she only lost one kidney. You know, and of course, you know, my mind is like, well, why'd you get cancer in the first?
You as well. All right, we'll take one final call and then we will call it a night. So no pressure, caller, whoever you are. You're closing
It's
out.
kind of a hard call to follow, isn't it? It's really a hard position to follow that type of call. It was a good call.
It really was. It really was. See if we get one.
Hello.
Who are we speaking with?
You are speaking with the Holy Spackle.
Hey, Deidre.
Hello.
Hey, how are you? I had a question. There was a plea on your show with Emperor to disengage with him and unsub, and almost a suggestion that if you're sub to him, you know, then what kind of person is that? What does that say about you? Do you feel comfortable being connected to him? And I wanted
Reds.
to say that I am subs to
Reds.
people that I disagree with all the time, and one of them is red pill religion. There's not a thing, barely, that I can say I connect to and say, yeah, I relate to Max. I disagree with him on a lot of points, but I truly believe that if you have the ability to have a relationship with somebody that has either a bigoted view or a really backward mindset, that relationships over public shaming make an impact over time. Would you say that is a worthwhile attempt to connect with people?
Well, can I address this one first, actually?
Sure.
Because this was actually Reds that actually had said that, and I think he was talking more about his channel, right? I mean, a lot of YouTubers, as you well know, I mean, their sub count is their lifeblood, and he's very proud of his sub count. I mean, he actually made it a point to say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, as I lose subscribers, my bank account goes up." Don't know what he means by that, but he did basically infer that a lot of his he didn't care if he was going to purge people. He actually said #purge on one tweet that he did, or one
I think when he's saying I lose subscribers, my bank account goes up, I think what he's saying is he's not reliant on YouTube. He's not reliant on these folks on non-sec to even prop him up. And so it just seems like he's like, yeah, I move on. Like I don't care.
I don't know, on Facebook or on Twitter. I think it's Twitter that he said it, #purge. So he was fine with that. I don't have him blocked on Facebook, right? Again, I even said I wanted to see what he has to say, and I understand Red's call out for that. That wasn't Kyle. That was Red's call out for that, to unsubscribe to his channel, which, by the way, I have. I don't subscribe to his channel nor Three Black Heathens. I never subscribed to that channel, anyways. But that was, I think, was the thing is, how do we as a community handle these kind of things? Do you want to subscribe to this kind of person? Now, I'm like you, Holy Spackle. I really don't go out of my way to say, hey, don't subscribe to this person or unsubscribe. I you know me long enough. I don't think I've ever done that. I had some issues with G-Man before, where maybe I said something along the lines of, if you come into my channel, don't subscribe to him because I don't want to deal with G-Man. But for the most part, I don't go around saying, like, don't subscribe to Red Pill Religion, right? I've never done that either. Me and Max do not see eye to eye on things, but I've never said don't go subscribe to Red Pill Religion. But I can see sometimes why there's a need to. In this particular case, I kind of support Reds in why he said that, if that makes sense.
Why? Again, on the threat assessment of bigoted statements, and we can go back to those statements. They're really not. I mean, they're bad, but I wasn't crying over them. like I've heard worse. Again, let's make it clear, I don't condone homosexuality, which is big whoop-de-doo. Nobody cares, Alex. If you have an issue with that, you can unfriend me. Good, I'm not your friend anyway. I'm not here to advocate for your sexual views. Well, that last sentence tells me you don't understand homosexuality. So there you go. But again, on my scale of threat on bigotry, what is he at 2? Is it 3 stretching it? If Steven Anderson and worse is a 10, then he's way at the bottom. This is something that surely people can work through and maybe even push on if they have the right relationship. And so to me, it just seems strange to just be like, this is the worst person ever because reasons. It just seems shocking to me that this is a thing. But again, maybe they're shocked because it's possible for an anti-theist to have these views. I mean, I always said that anti-theism is just the flip side of fundy. It's not uncommon for a fundy to become an anti-theist, and then even it's been heard of for an anti-theist to go back to being a fundy, which is just hilarious to me to watch. But that being said, it's not shocking that to me that they would have some similar things that they would say, some similar rhetoric, so to speak. It's just not not something that surprises me a whole lot. Apparently, if you change windows on the stream, you lose the window that you typed in. So hang on a second. Oh, come on, stop it.
I mean, their sub count is their lifeblood, and he's very proud of his sub count. I mean,
Is Emperor really proud of his sub count? I hear that G-Man is, but I don't know about Emperor.
he actually made it a point to say something along the lines of, "Oh, well, as I lose subscribers, my bank account goes up." Don't know what he means by that, but he did basically infer that a lot of his he didn't care if he was going to purge people. He actually said hashtag purge on one tweet that he did, or one I don't know, it was Facebook or on Twitter. I think it's Twitter that he said it, hashtag purge. So he was fine with that. I don't have him blocked on Facebook, right? Again, I even said I wanted to see what he has to say, and I understand Red's call out for that. That wasn't Kyle. That was Red's call out for that, to unsubscribe to his channel, which, by the way, I have. I don't subscribe to his channel nor Three Black Heathens. I never subscribed to that channel, anyways. But that was, I think, was the thing is, how do we as a community handle these kind of things? Do you want to subscribe to this kind of person? Now, I'm like you, Holy Spackle. I really don't go out of my way to say, hey, don't subscribe to this person or unsubscribe. I you know me long enough. I don't think I've ever done that. I had some issues with G-Man before where maybe I said something along the lines of, if you come into my channel, don't subscribe to him because I don't want to deal with G-Man. But for the most part, I don't go around saying, like, don't subscribe to Red Pill Religion, right? I've never done that either.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Max do not see eye to eye on things, but I've never said don't go subscribe to Red Pill Religion. But I can see sometimes why there's a need to. In this particular case, I kind of support Red's in why he said that, if that makes sense.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
Why? You give a platform to some of the worst people ever. In fact, let's get to know Shannon Q. Let's get to know Matt Powell. He on my threat meter of anti-LGBTQ. Matt Powell is closer to a 10. He's closer to Steven Anderson. Let's kill gay people, yay! But don't worry, I'm not going to kill gay people myself. I want a theonomy to kill gay people for me. On my threat level meter, Matt Powell's fairly high. Like it's not even comparable to Emperor. But you've given him a platform. Is it just because, like, again, Emperor's not towing the line of anti-theism?
And here's my take. He asked a very fair question, I think. Like, there are people that I watch, like you do, like you would Max, so that you can keep up with Max. Brett Keane is mine. I very rarely miss a
Bill backstory with Red Pill Religion and myself. I'm always respectful to Max. I've made it clear that I'm a liberal, and I'm Catholic friendly largely, but I don't think there's very much that Max and I agree with. But I pay attention to him because he represents a certain faction of people to me. And I feel like if people can have conversations with people that are different than them, that's reasonable. So that way you can get out of the shell of, like, well, all liberals are X, all egalitarians are X. it's good to have those conversations, and it's really hard for me because I don't particularly like men's rights activists that much. I have a tough time with it. And so this MRA red pill religion dude, that's like, a lot of what you say, ugh. but I do think it's important to engage with people that have different ideas than you. And I don't encourage deplatforming Max. I just maybe encourage people to push back on him.
A Brett Keane video. I don't know why, but there's just something that I can't not look away from that.
I actually ignore Brett Keane largely just because he's annoying.
But I am not subscribed to Brett Keane. I just will check his page every now and then because I don't want. I just don't want my my subscriber base or the people that I'm subscribed to be associated with that. I'll watch his videos out of I guess it's hate watching, but I don't want to be counted among the subscriber count that he has, so that he gets a false sense of support. And I think that there's a certain line that you get to where you say certain things, and it should have, like, if I were to say something, if I were to compare a group of people to pedophiles, like was done in this case, I would expect to wake up and most of my
From what I've read, it wasn't that a group of people were compared to pedophiles. It was that he didn't want kids at gay pride parade. I agree. I think it's overly sexualized. I also feel that way about Mardi Gras, which is largely straight people. At least I don't think that's the purpose of Mardi Gras, but it's what it's turned into. Is a bunch of straight people flashing each other for beads. Like, it's crazy to me. Like I don't want my kids involved in that. I don't think either's bigoted per se off the bat. What was bigoted is what he was thumbs upping, the NAMBLA nonsense and all that.
subscriber base be gone because they're good, decent people, and they don't want to have their name associated with somebody that would say such horrible things. I just would expect that. And so I think that Reds was making the point that, I mean, in reality, he was just asking a question. Do you want to be associated with those sort of comments? And I think that's a very fair question. And I certainly wouldn't.
It's very hypocritical considering who he is associated with and what they have done. They're absolute trolls.
Yeah, well, I'm a sub to anti-theism, and I find an anti-theism that I like, and the closest is Shannon Q. But most anti-theists, I have a really tough time with, but I'm subbed with them, and I guess it's sort of a hate sub, not particularly an active hate, but you watch what they have to say, and you converse with the people that you're in your circles about what they have to say and their critiques and stuff. But I just think it would be silly to search somebody's account and then assume that they align with everything, based on that. I have Christians and non-Christians. I have pagans, and I'm not a pagan. It just seems kind of goofy to me. And as far as bigotry goes, I do think that those were bigoted statements, and I think that I'm LGBTQ, LGBTQ too.
Can you hear me, please? Hey, yeah. Before we get too far away from that first point, let me see if I can't give you an example of what I mean. The anti-theists that you are sub to, like you mentioned Shannon Q and them. I think that even though you may disagree with them on a theological level or sort of.
No, I disagree with them on a social level.
Their positions that they have against religion. I think that you deep down know that Shannon is a good and decent person. That she, although you may think she is wrong theologically, that other than that, she has a value system. She has morals. She's not looking to harm anyone. She's looking to do the most good. She just doesn't have that one tick in the box that you have. Now, if you contrast that with somebody like, let's say, Richard Spencer, who advocates for an ethno state and is blatantly racist. I don't think you can compare the two, even though you may consider that watching both of them is you have stances that are in conflict with both of them. One is way more egregious than the other. One is actively trying to harm people. One has a harmful position. The other just has a position that you think is different in a theological sense. Other than that, I would go out on a limb and say that I think you think Shannon is a good and decent person. You see the difference between those two, even though they both might be considered.
But I mean, and I am a big critic of Emperor on a big level, but like it's not just this. It's how in general how he approaches religion and everything else. But my point is that when I look at Emperor, my personal risk assessment is very low of him. When I look at Bigotry, with Godless Engineer was extremely off base when he compared him to Steenwood Anderson. I don't pick up anything about Emperor that says that he's willing to kill a homosexual or even beat them up or anything like that. And so, like, my risk assessment of Emperor is probably closer to Matt Slick. Oh, it's dirty, it's depraved, it's icky, I don't like it. Which, I mean, maybe for me, I put Bigotry on a sliding scale of what I can tolerate and engage with, and what I can't absolutely tolerate and engage with. I don't know. I mean, is Bigotry on a sliding scale?
That's a tough question to answer. I don't like. To me, I would have to say, if I was answering honestly and for myself, I would have to say that it is, because there's a difference between Emperor Atheist saying, I am uncomfortable with the gay lifestyle, and him saying, I don't think that an 11-year-old should be around grown gay men. That, to me,
Again, I think it was about actual gay pride as opposed to gay men in general.
is a much more egregious level, because he's essentially saying that grown gay men can't handle themselves around kids. Now, the uncomfortable aspect I can deal with. You can talk through that. You can work. I know plenty of people, straight people, that are they just haven't been around people who are gay, and at first it's uncomfortable because it's something new. That can be sort of broken down over time as you get used to people. There's a big leap from somebody that thinks that kids shouldn't be allowed to be alone with grown gay people. So yes.
Again, I don't necessarily see that as the issue as much as the context of where it is. So again, I can say I don't condone straight people's lifestyles because of how people behave at Mardi Gras. I mean, big whoop-de-doo, right? Like, nobody cares for what you condone. But at the same time, it's like, like appropriateness of the age and the situation is like, no, I would not bring my kids to Mardi Gras. I would not bring my kids to gay pride either, unless they finally desexualize it, because love is more than sexuality. Sexuality is really just a small component, and I think a lot of the gay pride stuff is the sexuality components there for possibly shock value. I mean, it's just partially, where people go with that in general.
If I was answering for me, I would say that there is a sliding scale to bigotry.
Yeah, it was more than him just being uncomfortable. I get that as well. Look at if somebody's uncomfortable with something, I totally understand that. I don't think we should be going after people to say, look, I'm just not comfortable with homosexuality, but to each his own, stuff like that. I really think that's innocuous. I really do. What he was saying was basically not that he just didn't agree with the whole homosexual, which by the way is, to me, is like saying I don't agree you're black. Makes no sense to me. But I'm at least to give him some leeway. But the things that he had followed up with and the things that he had said last year, you have to take as a whole. It's an aggregate, right? And and so he basically is more than just saying, look, I'm not, it's just not I'm uncomfortable with homosexuality. He said some pretty vile and defaming things recently and before, right? So I think there's a lot more to it than just him saying, I don't want to be around gay people because I'm not comfortable. Even though that is something I find egregious, that is, I think, manageable. I think people can work around that and change the minds of those kind of people. But what he said, I think it's kind of something that most people that say those kind of things not easily going to be changing their position on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's usually a change in position like that. In my experience and then witness of I think you guys are shocked because it's a non-religious person, but bigotry doesn't have to be tied to religion. I'm sorry, anti-theist.
Sure.
I know that you think it is, but it's not.
No,
It literally is some ingrained social behavior that is ingrained in these people, and so what happens is usually if somebody's going to change their mind, it's going to be because they have a gay kid, or it's going to be because their sister's gay, or it's going to, and something will suddenly click, and that relationship bond will eventually make a change.
I'm shocked because it came from somebody that I considered a friend, not so much that the non-religious thing was secondary to the fact that I had went to sort of bat for this person, and
we built this city again. The patronizing kind of similar with this Shannon Q earlier, which is like, I had you on my podcast, I promoted you, we did things together. Oh my gosh, really? Come on now.
Yeah, with it before, like this is the second occurrence of it, and just felt like kind of had, or
you helped promote his other channel. You help promote.
Oh my gosh. So if anybody's promoted, then if they have an opposing view, just be worried that it's going to blow up.
A project that he was working on that I wanted nothing to do with, and I don't, I never subscribed to it, but you were more than welcome to, and you went out of your way to help him on that. I think he shat on you.
I believe in the product. I know that there are that the African American community, especially being atheist, that's doubly hard because you're discriminated against almost double, because not only are you black, but you're also going against African Americans are the most religious group, and so I still believe in that. Like I wanted that story to be out there and known, because I know that it's something that people deal with, and I don't like discrimination, and I want people to understand the sort of the struggle, and I still believe in that concept of the show. Maybe not with him being a part, but the concept is still good. Like, people still need to know that that's a thing that happens. So it's just a really bad situation that I'm, after tonight, am turning around to and moving forward. Like, I think I've said all that I could say about this situation, and I don't have any interest in dragging it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no reason to. It's a kind of it's a done deal. I think we know everybody where they stand. Let him suffer the ramifications and deal with it on his own terms. Other than that, I really don't have anything to add on either. I mean, it's just at this point, I think people have said their piece. Rachel Oates said her piece. She had a good video on it.
What does Rachel Oates have to do with anything?
Where else do you want to go on it? I mean, I don't like prolonging that kind of stuff either. There's no reason to.
Do you have anything else?
Nope, that's it. I just wanted to kind of mention a couple of my concerns and to kind of see what you thought about it. So, take care.
No problem.
Glad you called. Thank you.
Bye.
Okay. All in all, I think that was a fan.
So I called in, kind of attempting to explore the idea of, like, is it possible that there's a sliding scale of bigotry? Like, is there it possible that maybe our threat assessment isn't quite on par, with what's actually happening? And I mean, to me, again, the threat assessment's really low. It for me, it's more like a snicker. I'm not shocked, haha, kind of thing. But it, as far as an actual threat assessment goes, like it's extremely low. So the whole idea of calling for some sort of deplatforming or boycotting, it just seems silly to me. Instead, I think I'd encourage people of his community, because obviously atheists like me, we're like oil and water, like it doesn't work. But I think an atheist or an agnostic could have conversations about this, and if they earn the right as in a relationship and a real friendship, other than just YouTube convenience. Maybe if you earn the right, you can have these conversations. And maybe, maybe somewhere there'll be a change in heart. But it's been my experience that people change these views typically if it's so ingrained, and they're doubling down like that. It usually changes over time, and it's through relationships. And it's not something that you can shame or push people through. And the problem with that is and I think Ozzy said it, but I'm going to probably echo his words because I have a similar sentiment. The problem with that is I always am kind of like, when you deal with somebody that has a view that's kind of abhorrent, like I talk to men that think that women should only be submissive to their husbands and work in the kitchen. I talk to guys like that sometimes, and I'm just like, oh my goodness. And sometimes I just want to pull my hair out, talking to these folks. But I think people should have these conversations with people, if you're able to. So I don't know. I think filter the good from the bad, whatever it is, whoever it is, and take things with a grain of salt. I think it's unfortunate that all or nothing thinking has become such a part of our political climate, that I watch liberals, for instance, liberal women who are fighting for women's rights, uh, turn away a pro-lifer as if a pro-lifer isn't pro-woman. It's like it has to be opposed. It's not necessarily opposed. You can be a feminist in other areas. So I think it would be just urging people to be careful in how they approach folks, because I think if you cut people out for one idea, then you're missing a lot. All of this could have been avoided had Emperor phrased his issues with Pride Parade and children being around it such a way that it could not be misunderstood. Athena, I do agree that if it was worded differently, like, I don't think it's appropriate for kids to be around grown adults with all that craziness at Mardi Gras. Like I would be like, yeah, you're right. So I think phrasing does matter, especially in cases like this, for sure. Um, and so I think for a large amount, I mean, if you want to see a real bigot, we can Google Stephen Anderson right now, or we can YouTube him, and I can show you a super bigot, which in comparison is just.
Stream got a lot of
Oh my
good
gosh! Stop!
callers.
Stop!
I like hearing from.
All right, we're stopping.
We should respond directly.
going for the source here.
Arizona pastor Steven Anderson, who once said that all LGBT people should be put to death,
goes to hell. Are you serious? Look, I have nothing but hate. When I see a man dressed up as a woman who has mutilated his body to become a woman and saying, hey, look at me, everybody. Look at me, kids. I mean, the kids in America today, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, are seeing this freak and having their minds perverted and ruined permanently. Listen to me, I hate him with a perfect hatred. Amen. I have no love for this Bruce freak. Yeah. Amen. I hope he dies today. I hope he dies and goes to hell. He's disgusting, he's filthy, he's reprobate, and I would pray all these prayers from Psalm 69 and so, how could you say that? Well, how did God say it? Yeah. I'd pray all this in Psalm 69 and Psalm 109 toward him. You evil, filthy animal that's destroying the morals of our country, die!
the last time we covered this guy, I think I gave him the nickname Hitler Pastor.
Hitler pastor. I mean, not everybody that disagrees with me is Hitler, but he's pretty bad. Like, I'm just saying, like, on the scale of bigotry and shock value, I mean, again, when Godless said that Steven Anderson, some of the stuff you say, man, is like Steven Anderson. No, that's Steven Anderson. It is totally different. It's just strange to me that people make this comparison. I mean, here's some more Steven Anderson.
They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And, as a Christian, I believe the Bible, and that's where I get my belief.
Doesn't the 10th commandment, isn't the first commandment, thou shalt not?
The Bible commands that certain people be put to death, not by me, not by Christians. It's obviously not my job or the job of any Christian to go out and kill anybody, and I've never taught anything like that. But rather that the government's job is to punish criminals and to execute those who've committed capital crimes. The job of any Christian to go out and kill anybody, and I've never taught anything like that. But rather that the government's job is to punish criminals and to execute those who've committed capital crimes. And according to the Bible, homosexuality is a capital crime, and I didn't write the Bible.
What if irony of ironies, it turned out that you had a gay son or a gay daughter? Would you want them dead as a way to cure AIDS?
Well, that's just a fallacy that it just turns out that certain people are gay. That's just a lie, because it's not random. It's not something that's just going to accidentally happen to one of my children.
Wait, how do you think it happens then?
Well, the Bible's real clear how it happens. In Romans chapter 1, it talks about how God gives people over to a reprobate mind to do these filthy acts. So it has to do with them rejecting the Lord and rejecting Jesus Christ. And one of my children, see those who've committed capital crimes. It's obviously not my job.
Doesn't is thou shalt not kill one of the commandments?
Yes, it is. But what you have to understand is that the Bible commands that certain people be put to death, not by me, not by Christians. It's obviously not my job or the job of any Christian to go out and kill anybody, and I've never taught anything like that. But rather that the government's job is to punish criminals and to execute those who've committed capital crimes. And according to the Bible, homosexuality is a capital crime.
Us tonight for an
Steven Anderson is like a 10 on my scale to bigotry. Emperor's somewhere at the bottom there. It's just silly to make a comparison. So I wish people would maybe think about who they can engage with and who is actually really kind of on this overboard train and who's not. And then not conflate the two, because if you conflate the two, then there's no conversation, there's no change being made, and there's nothing that can be learned. So I think that bugged me quite a bit, because if you can't have conversations with people that are bigot light, then we're doomed. Like, that's it. Like, I'm sorry, but it's if somebody's like, "Ooh, it's icky, it's depraved," and you're like, "That's it, we have to deplatform you," it's like, well, that's a lot better than Steven Anderson. Like, please don't mix up the two. I don't mix up Matt Slick with Steven Anderson. I see a distinct difference between the two positions. I hope that people understand that there is a scale that you can address bigotry and people's homophobia, so to speak. And I wish that people would have these conversations, and instead of just flame throwing and stuff. And I think those that are closer to somebody like Emperor, maybe someday, Nate can change his mind, or maybe someday he'll have somebody that's in their family member that might change his mind. But I think if you completely ostracize and close the communication lines, then bad things are going to happen. Because again, like, he's not very high on the scale. He isn't. He is not Steven Anderson. It's just silly to compare the two. So that being said, I totally think that the whole basis of the show, The Black Three Heathens, from my understanding, was 3 different perspectives. I don't conflate that Nate has the same perspective as Drag. I don't conflate that Drag has the same perspective as Emperor. And yes, Emperor makes me eye roll and throw things and be really annoyed. And people can attest that I have complained many times about it. But the whole idea of that, do you really want to be associated with him? It just seems silly to me. It just seems silly to make that stupid statement. So keep the line of communication open for people that are lower on the threat meter, because he isn't that high on the threat meter. Disappointing, yes, but high on the threat meter, no. That being said, I tried something different this time. Tried a new software. It was kind of distracting and difficult to kind of work through. So thanks for bearing with me. To actually see full videos in full, you have to go to Non Sequitur to see full and uncut. I am not monetized, so don't frickin' ding me, Kyle. All rights are for you. This is just for critique and keeping conversation going. I think that we live in a world where things get hot really quickly and things escalate really quickly. And so hopefully people can keep the line open and have conversations even when they're frustrating. So for those that are able to have these conversations with people that have these views, please do. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. I've done this way longer than expected, and part of that's because I was wrestling with getting things to work. Peas and marinara. Is that what Shani says? Oh, no, there's peas and maranatha. Oh, okay. Shalom, shalakum. Oh, wait, that's RC. Don't be a dick. That's Will Wheaton. Always like that. Don't be a dick. So, yeah.